Hello and welcome to the news on Cbc Tv. Cbc General Council endorses key proposals after intensive 9-hour meeting. Mrs. Fola Janeth has been officially inducted as the Director of the Women's Department of the CBC with a call to Christ-centered service. The Cbc General Council has validated a number of proposals from board members and the Executive President. This was during a 9-hour council meeting chaired by Mr. Kongor John Kwa. Senior reporter Emmanuel Woloko tells us more in the following report.
These people sat from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. discussing the affairs of the Cameroon Baptist Convention. Their preoccupation was to examine minutes, reports, and proposals from departments and boards, not leaving out recommendations from the CBC Executive President. They had to examine appointments, especially in the education and health departments, and validate a list of 54 pastors to face the Ordination Examination Council in the days ahead. The council also validated new field pastors elected recently in Gebawa, Boom, Nkambe, Mbem. It was also time for some former council members to say goodbye.
And it is time for us to also to give chance for another people.
Opportunity that God gave me in this council to be able to name. I have grown.
God love to me is my name. I'm a field delegate.
The council validated proposals from the CBC Executive President, including but not limited to the creation of the Communication and Publications Board and also that of the Cameroon Baptist University Institute, CBUI. In his closing remarks, the CBC chairman was satisfied with the maturity of the council.
We crave your prayers, crave wisdom, because this job of carrying out reconciliation and peace is no small job.
At the end, God received all the glory. As the convention pursues its peace and development agenda, the Executive President, the Reverend Dr. Teke John from Ephesians chapter 2, the verses 8 and upwards, called upon council members to understand their place, that God had chosen them, so they have to work diligently to move the cause of God forward.
We just finished from our CBC General Council meeting. We've had a series of meetings throughout the week, beginning on Monday, board meetings, which culminated with the General Council meeting today. I must say that it has been quite engaging. We've had far-reaching deliberations and resolutions, and of course, I am happy that the members of the General Council had good deliberations and some resolutions that were taken and that were ratified by the General Council. I want to say that, as a church, we are growing, and this growth demands that we reflect and deliberate on so many issues affecting our departments. And so there were resolutions from the various departments that were ratified, from the health department, from the evangelism and missions, from the theological and Christian education, from the education department. As a matter of fact, all the departments had resolutions which were ratified. And so the duty of the General Council is to examine the different resolutions from the departments and look at those resolutions critically, examine those resolutions on how they are going to affect the life of and the smooth running of the Cameroon Baptist Convention as a whole.
who yielded his life as atonement for sin.
The Finance and Development Board meeting has taken place at the Baptist Center in Quen. Thursday's board meeting was chaired by Mrs. Von Susan. The FDD director, Mr. Tam Ephraim, presented his activity and financial reports. The reports indicate that a lot has been invested and little exists for operations. Stakeholders were then advised to spend wisely. Behind every successful meeting at the CBC are men and women working tirelessly at the background, making sure food and other services are provided on time. For me, Kensa Kaiser.
The Cameroon Baptist Convention, CBC General Council, has ended in Bamenda with far-reaching resolutions aimed at increasing the convention's visibility and impact. While much attention is often focused on the decisions taken during such meetings, some behind the scenes services play a vital role in ensuring their success. One of these is the provision of food and accommodation.
And all must have their meals, their 3 breakfast, lunch, and supper.
The chef at the rest house also explained the carefully planned menu designed to sustain participants through long hours of deliberation and decision making.
Fried fish and fried rice.
The CBC Rest House remains an important asset to the convention. It currently accommodates more than 30 council members during major meetings, reducing the burden and cost of seeking accommodation outside CBC premises. Recognizing its strategic importance, plans are underway to modernize the facility. The project aims to restore the rest house to its former status as one of the most respected hospitality facility in Bamenda and better serve the growing needs of the convention. Reporting from Bamenda, I am Mfomiken Sakaiza, reminding us that behind every successful meeting are the people and services that make it possible.
Madame Fola Janet has been officially inducted as the director of the Women's Department of the CBC. The event took place at Quen Baptist Church Auditorium on June 13, 2026. Details in the following report. Against the backdrop of the biblical story of Mary and Martha drawn from Luke 10:38-42, the preacher of the day, Reverend Professor Wilfred Fon, caused the congregation to reflect on what it means to serve Christ faithfully in the complexities of the 21st century. The passage, which contrasts Martha's tireless service with Mary's devotion at the feet of Jesus, reminded all present that effective Christian leadership requires both diligent work and unwavering spiritual focus.
Fola Janet Kinwe, the CBC Women's Director. I am very honored this day. I feel honored, and considering it as a privilege, I am determined to serve the CBC women with all passion, with all humility, with the assurance that the work is great, the work is difficult. And I keep trusting the Lord who has called me to lead me to serve the CBC Women's Department faithfully.
The Executive President of the Cameroon Baptist Convention now induct you as Women's Director of the Cameroon Baptist Convention.
As she accepted the mantle of leadership, the congregation responded with warm applause, offering prayers and words of encouragement. But the event extended beyond solemn vows and messages. From the hills of First Baptist Church Ndu came a dance group, Pauline Nju, whose energetic performances captivated the audience from the very first beat of the drums. Adding yet another layer of inspiration was the soul-stirring choir ministration by Nakomek, with voices rising in harmonious praise to God.
Happy this day that had the privilege to induct Minister Fola Janet as the Director of the Women's Department of the Cameroon Baptist Convention. This is an important department of the Cameroon Baptist Convention, and today I charge her to take up the responsibility in the department, work in collaboration with the executive to move the department forward. I must say that this is a department to reckon with in the Cameroon Baptist Convention, because when you look around our churches throughout the country, the women are growing in their numbers.
As the curtains fell on the memorable celebration, one message remained clear. In today's CBC Church, an organization, effectiveness in ministry is not measured solely by activity, but by hearts that, like Mary's, continually choose the better part, a life centered on Jesus Christ. In the following report, Mfomi Kensa Kaisa gives us highlights of the induction ceremony.
In line with the induction of the new CBC Women's Department Director, this reporter took interest in some unique moments that marked the event. Among the highlights was the presence of the Pauline group from First Baptist Church Ndu, where Minister Fola Janet served before her election to lead the CBC Women's Department. The new director also took time to recognize and appreciate her predecessors, thanking them for the foundation they laid, assuring them that she would uphold the legacy entrusted to her. Guest preacher, Reverend Professor Wilfred Fon, who has been her teacher, spiritual father and father-in-law, challenged believers to remain faithful to God's calling, whether as a martyr, serving, or as a Mary, learning at the feet of Jesus. Take a listen at the Reverend Professor Wilfred Fon.
She is a wonderful woman, and the thing that is going through my mind is that God should help her to succeed in this way for the glory of God. She has come in ready with her gifts, and I believe we will cooperate in giving her the opportunity to attain what God has called her to.
Acknowledging God's grace upon her life, Minister Fola Janet pledged to serve with humility. As Reverend Dr. Teke John, CBC Executive President, often reminds church leaders, there is no seminary curriculum for becoming a director or a church leader. Leadership comes through God's grace and divine timing. Many saw Minister Fola Janet's election as evidence of that grace.
In the same light, some women pledged their unwavering support to the director of the Women's Department, Mrs. Fola Janet.
I am so glad to have her as my director. For the first few months that she has worked with us, she has been caring, she has been so loving, she has been showing motherly love for us. She's so diligent in the work God has called her. And we as the staff of the Women's Department and myself personally, we have promised to give our all for her, for all that she will need for her services in the Women's Department to move smoothly.
Yeah, I just want to encourage her, like the message that we need Mary and Martha so that we can grow, and that there should be collaboration between her and her ESCO, because the ESCO accepted to collaborate and she also accepted to collaborate. And we know that she also promised to be humble. God will give her the wisdom to do it so that everything will start from the head right down without any problem.
And on to something else, the Field Council of Churches convened at Priesthood Baptist Church, Eveshe in Bafoussam, bringing together pastors and Christians of Bafoussam Field to discuss matters that concern them and forge a way forward. Our Bafoussam Field correspondent, Divine Damsa, completes that story.
The meeting opened with a warm welcome from the association pastor and field chairman. In the devotion, the field pastor of Bafoussam, Reverend Fongambi Confidence, spoke on building a successful field by getting God's work done. Drawn from Nehemiah 4, he urged Christians to work together, remain vigilant, and ensure each person fulfills their role. In his report, the field pastor thanked God for 4 years of successes and challenges. Noting the completion of the field secretariat decking, he equally announced that as a newly elected field pastor, he will be installed during the upcoming General Council in Bamenda from June 8 to 13th. A new executive committee has also been elected and awaits installation. Members were reminded of the Bafoussam Association Annual Bible Conference scheduled for June 11th to 13th at the same venue, Priesthood Baptist Church. While a symbolic highlight was the clerical stole, now required attire for CBC pastors at official programs, worn by the Bafoussam Field pastors, activity that was gladly done by Reverend Fongambi himself. The program concluded with announcements from CBC institutions, notably Bafoussam Baptist Microfinance, Bafoussam Baptist Hospital, and Babicas. The Field Council of Churches ended on a note of gratitude, unity, and anticipation as leaders and members look forward to the upcoming Bafoussam Association conferences and installations.
And that does it for this edition of the news on Cbc TV. Thank you for staying with us and keep watching Cbc TV.